All right. I believe we are live. Welcome everyone. Uh,
Hello,
my name's Carlos,
I'm Owen.
and my cat's in the back. His name's Pablo.
Hey,
And
Pablo.
well, today we have a pretty fun stream for you guys. By fun, I mean we have inflation data to talk about and other stuff. We're gonna talk about
Very fun.
very fun macroeconomics. The pinnacle of fun.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
we're going to talk about that. We're going to start talking about CPI data. We are going to talk about Tesla real quick, just to look at what it's doing and talk about like my current position. We're going to talk about Starbucks. They had some pretty abysmal earnings like roughly 2 weeks ago. Um, we're going to talk about um, what else? We're going to talk about just in general how the markets reacted to CPI. Um, and yeah, let's get started. So, what are we looking at here? We're looking at CPI. So today's report came in at 3.4%, which is like a whole 0.1% lower than last time, which seemed to make markets actually rally pretty hard. Um, let me switch to the. Hold on. Let me switch to the charts here. There we go. So let's look at markets real quick, see what's going on. So let's start with Bitcoin because that's it's the best game in
We
town
love
right
that
now.
one.
We love that one, yes. Um, what did Bitcoin do? So Bitcoin, I've been tracking this for few weeks at this point. Basically, I showed this last time, but let me just show it for people I haven't seen. So I started tracking this since like late last year. Uh, we have someone in the comments saying, when can we have a session to talk about Bidenomics? I actually saw a headline about that recently, but I
What
didn't
is that?
I forget if I could pull it up, I would, but it was something about like, oh, under Bidenomics, like this is what the economy's like been doing, and like I don't I don't know if it was like a hit piece or something, but
Mhm.
I don't know, it didn't pique my interest. That's why I didn't click on it. But yeah, like that that's pretty funny. Yeah, so Bitcoin, what is Bitcoin doing? I think I still think
Pumping.
even though it's the movement we had today was pretty bullish. Like we had a Oh, it was almost like over 4.5K candle today on the daily, which
Hmm.
is, it's pretty sizable. Especially, we had been it looked like we had been like squeezing here, and then we had a clear short squeeze over here. So now we're kind of in the, you could say like in the middle area of like this triangle or wedge pattern, whatever you want to call it. Um,
Hmm.
I I'm still right now like I would say my position right now is cautiously bullish. Like I think that we can
What? Why do you say cautiously bullish?
because I feel like I would be more optimistically bullish if Bitcoin, for example, were to break out of this region.
Yeah.
Not necessarily putting in an all-time high, but I feel like I'd want to see that and then maybe come back to this area, retest it, and then shoot up. Like I feel like that would be like some pretty healthy momentum up, and like it would be more decisive. Like right now, even though this is a pretty decisive candle,
Yeah.
it probably just means that we're gonna trend up for a little bit, and it's probably due to the boost that markets in general saw from the CPI data. So speaking of CPI data, sorry, not CPI data. Speaking of general markets, let's look at the S&P 500. This is the weekly. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Let's look at the daily. Whoops. Let's look at the daily. So yeah, we put in an all-time high today,
Mm.
which, means markets are happy at the moment. Um, I have some notes here about CPI. Um, basically, it didn't go like, it sounds like markets were more happy than at least in my, like how, like I would have expected, just for like a 0.1% decrease. But, like stuff that, like I think it was like last stream or the 2 weeks before, mentioned that Sasha's like video covered this pretty well, I think, in his new video. I think also adds to that, where basically there's a lot of numbers in the CPI data that are just like high for like stupid reasons. And also,
What kinds of stupid reasons? I'm not sure I saw that video.
oh yeah. So like one of them, I'll include the link in the description, but one of them is like car insurance prices are like pretty high. Shelter prices have taken a while to come down, and what was the other one? Let me look at my notes real quick. Yeah, so rent, yeah, like shelter costs. Oh, like energy prices. That's a big one too. Like that's I think like roughly 30% of what like the number, and that's still pretty high. And like the underlying energy costs are not up. Like oil is a little up, but like not enough for like to like like in general like things are not up. Like natural gas, oil, stuff like that is just not up. Like it's more companies just being greedy and like charging more money because they can.
Okay.
Same with like
Yeah.
groceries, for example. Like there's groceries probably like is another area that I think could probably go down. It just hasn't because companies,
Stupid expensive right now.
yeah. I mean, but I mean, everyone's felt it when like the last time you've had to buy a carton of eggs, it's just like way more than it would cost like a few years ago. We all know
Oh,
that.
yeah.
Let's look at the Russell 2000 real quick just to see what it did. It pumped today, although it not by a ton. Didn't make an all-time high at least, but that's fine. SPY made an all-time high, which I guess was kind of expected if the news was good. Like I said last stream, I do think that macro stuff is just gonna get slowly by slowly get better overall. Real quick, let me see what's gold doing. Gold is also going up. And what is the SPY doing? Oh, sorry, not the SPY, the DXY, the dollar. The dollar is going down. That's interesting. I do like to see that. Well, I do like to see that in terms of Bitcoin. That's what I mean.
Right. Right.
So yeah, that is CPI data. I guess that's enough of that. We can. What do you want to talk about next, Owen? Do you want to go? You want to go to talk about cannabis stocks, or do you want to talk about Tesla, or
Well,
do you want to talk about Starbucks?
I did have something related to this I wanted to bring up.
Hmm.
Do you remember that?
To CPI?
Yes.
Oh yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
You remember that Scott Galloway video we watched where he
Hmm.
talked about the impact of AI with the economy and how
Yeah,
we
I
could
remember.
very easily see like a healing economy, and what the impact of that would be on cryptocurrencies if that's something that people are buying more into because of economic hardships. Are Is it possible we might not see Bitcoin break through that line for a while if things are reversing?
Not sure. Not sure I understood the question.
Okay. Um, I'm just trying to think of a different way to rephrase it.
Sorry, that was a too high IQ of a question for me.
So you say markets doing well, right? If
Yes.
markets are doing if markets are doing well, does that inherently mean that Bitcoin is going to do well, or can that potentially mean the opposite? If people buy more into Bitcoin, if the markets are not doing well, almost as a safety net.
So that narrative of like Bitcoin being the safety, the what's the expression? It's like the life raft or something.
Yeah, that
Um,
James says that.
yeah. So like, um, I think that's a narrative that's gonna play out more into the future, like more when we see like bigger like fiat currencies like start to crumble. Like right now we're seeing like countries countries like see their currencies crumble, but like some of these currencies are like we kind of knew that was happening for a long time, or these are countries with like a lot of underlying problems that um like we're either going to cause that or like seem like weren't good for the currency, basically, like places like Turkey,
Hmm.
places like like some African countries like Zimbabwe. I mean, we know what happened to their currency. um Argentina, Venezuela, you know um and not just that, like these are just like some of the crazy examples, like and especially in these countries, for example, like you see like people moving to Bitcoin, or at least using Bitcoin a lot more
Yeah.
than like other countries in terms of like daily usage or like day-to-day stuff, you know, like transacting for your personal business or like buying stuff like groceries. Like that's not really
Hmm.
something that it's seen like I would say as widespread right now, but like
Okay.
the thing I was gonna tie to this is that right now, like given that a lot of the inflows that we're probably going to see from Bitcoin are coming from ETFs, like the US ETFs
Hmm.
and now the Hong Kong ETF and like all the
Right.
whatever other ETFs exist. Like I know Canada has some, and I'm sure there's more, and I'm sure there's more that are coming. Um, I think that at first is gonna bring actually higher correlation to like stock markets and stuff. So like I think that if markets do bad, I think Bitcoin's gonna do bad too. I don't think
Okay.
it's gonna be like the exception, and I think that's gonna be a behavior that we're probably gonna observe for at least this market and maybe even the next one. Like I think what you're describing is a logical thing that we're gonna reach maybe after 2030 or after 2040, something like that, you know. Maybe
You
even
think it's that far down the line?
maybe even later, cuz again, like the things you're describing happen when like there's more widespread panic and like infrastructure, you know, like by infrastructure I mean like fiat currencies like devaluating like harder. So like
Hmm.
imagine the US dollar. Like right now the trueflation measurement of like the inflation rate for like the US dollar is like I think it was like 20% or like 22%,
Hmm.
which is disgusting. That shouldn't be that high. But it is. And like maybe when we see that number climb up to like 30, 40, 50% for the US, cuz think about it, when the US dollar is going up and it's going there, like it's like unless we do something about like the debt situation, like we've already crossed like 100% of like debt to GDP ratio. like
Yeah.
like unless we fix this and do something drastic, there's no like that, you know, there's going to be a no turn back point. I don't know if we've passed it already, but um especially given the fact that like US is backing out a lot of like global um trade and like, you know, like back like being a more what's the word, like isolationist, like that, like
Uh-huh.
not just the US, like a lot of countries in general, like that's like just a general global trend. Like countries are just backing away and like keeping to themselves a little more in terms of like how they trade, how they view like, you know, uh like security and stuff like that, and like you know, global politics and whatnot. So I think that if the US keeps on that trend of like, you know, isolationism plus um you know, just like increase just savage like that debt spended, you know, like that debt increase, like basically like the amount of debt per person right now, like I forget what the number is. If we look up the debt calculator, I can pull it up later.
It's wild, I'm
it's
sure.
it's wild, yeah, and it just keeps going up every day. So like
Hmm.
I right now, like I don't you know, I think that fiat currencies are just going, they're like, it needs to get a little worse. I think it needs to get a little worse for that narrative to play out for Bitcoin of like,
Okay.
all right, like this is gonna be the safety ref. All right, fuck, holding dollar is not safe. Like we're not at the point where like you can turn around and say like holding dollar is not safe, because it kind of is. It is.
Yeah.
It's still the world's leading currency. Bitcoin is just not something you can use to transact in most places still, even though it's growing in popularity. You know, we already have one country that has uses that as legal tender as Salvador, and it's not going to be the last one. You know, there's going to be more probably, but it's still an emerging thing. It's I think it's going to take a lot longer, and I think we're going to see Bitcoin more correlated at first,
Hmm.
and then not so much like in the future. So yeah, like I think the narrative you're bringing up, like it's a long term narrative, I think.
Okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. All right.
Well,
Hmm?
kind of makes me want to talk about cannabis.
All right. That's a good idea.
Wanna,
Let's pivot into cannabis. Actually, let me go back to let me see. Did I have something for that? Actually, oh no. You told me you had some thoughts about prohibition and like what that might look like, what that looked like before, and what that might look like now. Can you share those thoughts
Yes.
while I pull up some articles about the DEA stuff, like the news?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when we were looking into getting a license in Maryland, that was like one of the first places my mind went was what's a comparison we can draw this to that might give us some kind of relevant information as to what the US economy is going to look like from the legalization of cannabis. And I feel like prohibition's a pretty good example. Um,
By the way, you should
and
tell
doing some
people
research.
what we did in Maryland. I don't think people know.
Oh yeah, we applied for a micro business license for both cultivation and processing, and it was a lottery system, and sadly, we did not
Yeah.
acquire either.
Yeah, we're pretty proud that we were able to qualify and like, at least be considered, but yeah,
Yes, yeah,
sadly we
it
didn't
was a good
get.
opportunity
Yeah, it definitely was.
to take this in the chin. But so like looking into some of the information about prohibition and what happened afterwards, it's like really hopeful stuff. The Here, let me pull up some of these notes I have.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so right now, while you talk, I'm pulling up. I have True Leave. I'm not sure how to say this name. If someone in the comments can tell me how to say it, that'd be nice. But yeah, I'm not sure how to say it. Right now, so yeah, this is True Leave. This is one of the few like big um, U.S. cannabis corporations. Most of them are in Canada because Canada legalized it. Um, but yeah, so by the way, for those that don't know why we're talking about cannabis companies, is in general, I don't tend to look at cannabis companies. They're even though Owen and I have like tried to be a part of like the cannabis industry, realistically, given the regulatory landscape, they are garbage businesses to invest in. Sadly, what's up? Sorry, my cats was playing with some stuff. Um,
Why
yeah,
are
like
they garbage to invest in right now?
well, because the taxation of these companies is just bad. Like I forget what the tax code thing that makes it hard for them is. I think it's
Oh,
280E or something like that. Um,
yes, that's the one.
that basically it makes it so that there's a lot of things that cannabis companies can't um, deduct in terms of taxes, so they get screwed. Like when tax time comes, like they end up paying a lot more than like a regular company would have paid if it was doing the same thing with any other plant. Well, any other
Yeah,
legal
I
plant.
feel like we could see that get repealed though.
Yes, right. So right now, like that, the DEA is looking into rescheduling cannabis. And actually, let me pull up. I had something up here, but yeah, right now they're looking into rescheduling cannabis, which would essentially mean that it would be Schedule 3. I think that's what they're aiming for. And by making it Schedule 3, that simply means that it's not going to be treated as like the worst kind, the most illegal kind of drug that it could be. It's going to be in the same category as I think ketamine, like magic mushrooms and stuff like that, which is
Hmm.
carries a much less harsh like penalty. If you get caught with it. But basically, it's going to allow for a lot more research. Like one, it won't be hard for like scientists to do research on it, which will be great. It'll reduce the stigma of it and like hopefully push towards legalization in the future. And
Yeah.
it's a business that could be like like way bigger than what it is right now. It's that simple. Um, yeah. So what were you gonna mention, Owen? By the way, about
A
about
prohibition?
yeah.
Just like there's just direct correlations between what happened with that and what could happen here, especially if there's federal legalization. Just the amount of like production and job opportunities it creates in processing, in growing, in dispensaries, in transportation, like supply chains. You get tax revenue for the government,
Mhm.
regulations and licensing fees. Um, there would be a reduction in like law enforcement costs as well because there's less people getting arrested, charged, and imprisoned, as well as more consumer spending and market competition.
Okay.
Just really good booms for the economy, and that's exactly what happened with like breweries and bars and distilleries opening back up in December of 1933 into 1934.
Okay.
Helped us climb out of the depression.
And so what do you think, like how do you think that like compares to now? Because we've definitely been seeing a lot of like I in my opinion, I think we're seeing a lot of like similar, like similar things. That's like how it came back for alcohol, at least specifically.
Yeah, I mean, in both cases, you have like a substance that, I mean, like people turn to in hard times too, and like want to spend money on for recreation or medicinally for this at this point. Um, and I feel like because there's so much hype and excitement around it right now, it could just cause a really exciting boost in our economy. What
Okay.
do you think?
No, I
Do you
definitely
think?
agree. One thing that I've been seeing that I think is very very comparable to like when Prohibition came back. You remember like the like speakeasies and stuff were like very became very popular
Yes.
like during
Yeah.
the Prohibition, and like I think that right now we're seeing at least like in terms of licensing, like if you look at the states that have like new laws, like some of them are like there's very few licenses that are being like created for establishments where people can go and consume cannabis rather
Yes.
than just buying it. And I think that's big. Like I think that's a
Yeah.
it shows a lot of progress in terms of like just being accepted. Like I don't think that that's something that, like if you asked me 10 15 years ago, I don't think that that would have been something that was very accepted just in general.
Hmm.
Like 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 now obviously like like that sounds pretty normal. And like for example, if you go to places like Amsterdam or Spain and whatnot, like there's clubs and whatnot that you can go to, and just you can get high there, smoke, and you can buy quality stuff, and it's usually
Yeah.
going to be a nice experience. Like it's obviously like it'll you spend money, you help the economy, and you also like get the substances that you want to get. And I just think that that's just another extra thing that like this industry can focus on, that would be a big money play.
I'm pretty sure
Um,
we drove past a place like that in Santa Cruz, didn't we? When we were in California,
did we?
December. I think so. We didn't go inside, but I'm pretty sure when we stopped at that taco joint, there was one across the street. We talked about it with Will.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I did. Yeah, I have. I don't think I've ever been to one of them. I remember one time I went to Las Vegas, and I went to one of these like 24-hour dispensaries, which pretty cool, but in its own. Um, and they didn't have the areas ready, but they were getting they had like you could tell that they had some areas that they were preparing for people. Like it was gonna be like a bar area, but obviously not with alcohol, but like you could get like drinks that I would assume had THC in them, and
Wow,
it looked like it was getting ready to be like a lounge, and it looked like a pretty cool lounge to hang out in. Like
what a concept!
yeah, like I feel like for younger people, just like for example, like a cigar lounge sounds so boring to me. Like 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 why would I want to go and like like smoke cigars or like cigarettes like in an enclosed space? Like I'd rather do that outside. But like with weed, like I feel like people like younger people or like younger generations specifically would definitely be more okay to like have those experiences.
Yeah, yeah. What's better than getting stoned in public with a bunch of strangers?
Exactly. That I mean that at least like from what I've heard, that can be very stressful for a lot of people, especially given that cannabis is so strong these days. Um, but yeah, so actually, this is one interesting thing that this is from yesterday, I think. Let me see. Yeah, it's from yesterday. Um, Pretty much saying that like it's describing like a little bit more of like what to expect, but pretty much like just this kind of tells me that maybe right now is still not the time to like get into cannabis companies,
Mm.
because this sounds like it's gonna take like a long time. Like, do you guys remember? Um, do you remember when like Biden sent this tweet out saying that like, oh, I've like pardoned everyone that like had federal, like what was accused of cannabis or something federally, and like he did some change that seemed really big about like incarceration of like people with like cannabis crimes and whatnot. But then when you
Mhm.
looked into it, it turned out like that didn't really do that much, and like no one actually came out of jail for that. I think, if I might be mistaken with that, but I think like basically it was like a, from what it seemed to like what it actually did, it was very different. And I'm just like, like when I first heard about this news, like my immediate reaction was like, I'm skeptical. This sounds like it's either this sounds like it either needs to get approved by somebody that might not want to approve it, or sounds like it's going to take a long time to do this. So
Yeah.
right now, at least it doesn't seem like it I don't see anything that's going to stop it so far, but at least it seems that it's just going to take a long ass time to get this done. Let's look at cannabis stocks real quick. Let me put you over here. Let's look at cannabis stocks real quick. So yeah, I said this one is from the U.S. Well, actually, when did this come out? When was this reported? Do we know? Actually, could you look that up for me while
What do you want me to look up?
or actually I can look it up. DEA cannabis reschedule. Um, I guess announcements. Let's see when that came out. April 30. So it's been like 2 weeks. Okay, that's just wanted to know more or less when that came out. Cool, cool, cool. Yeah. So 2 weeks ago. So right now, this is on the weekly chart. So you can see that there's a spike with Trulieve at least, but doesn't seem like it was like that big of a deal. And I feel like that's the pattern we're gonna see. So let's look at some of the other companies real quick. Um, this Curaleaf again saw a little spike 2 weeks ago, but you know doesn't seem like too much. Like the stock has been dumping for a while.
Wow.
Although
Yeah.
yeah, although it seems to be recovering. Like, but it needs to do a little better. We'll come back next week with like a better analysis of like some of these stocks if anyone's interested. But right now, like I'm just a little like worried that this this is not going to be that big of an, even though it's important, it's going to definitely help this industry like long term. I just don't know if it's going to be like that big of, it's going to have that big of an impact. Let's see here.
Mhm.
Yeah, we see a little spike here, but it didn't even cross like the high of like a few weeks before. So yeah, this looks horrible. Um but
Rest in peace, Curaleaf.
but yeah, no, like these don't look very good. I think it's definitely going to be something it's gonna be good. But like I think we probably need to hear a little bit more from the DEA, or just like see them put this into more movement, I think,
Yeah.
before we like can say, hey, this is like definitively bullish. I mean,
Need some word from Hank Schrader.
huh?
Did you
um
hear?
I heard something about Hank.
I was just saying we need some word from Hank Schrader.
Yes. No, yeah, like these are companies I would say definitely keep an eye out on them, but
Hmm.
like I personally am not invested in these yet. I think I want to see a little more, just because like again, these companies have just been like garbage businesses to invest in for the
I see
longest
what you
time.
mean.
Not because they are garbage companies, just because the
Hmm.
regulatory environment for them is kind of garbage.
Yeah.
Um, all right, let's switch gears. What do you want to talk about? You want to look at Tesla real quick, or do you want to talk about Starbucks?
Yeah, we can put your Tesla commercial in.
All right, yeah, let's look at Tesla real quick. Um, where do I have it? Here.
How come we don't ever look at like Tesla's competitors?
Because they just don't have the same market cap. They're not in they're just not in the same
Okay,
ball
that's
game.
valid. Yeah.
Also, like some of them have been scams before.
Oh,
um,
really?
I forget which is the company that like promised a bunch of stuff. It's not Rivian. Rivian has delivered stuff. It was I forget. It was like one of the ones that came out a few years ago that ended up being like a big scam. And I think they did end up shipping some stuff, but it was like after they got found out that they weren't like, they were way over promising. I forget the name.
I see.
I'll look up the name, but like for the next stream. But
Okay.
right now for Tesla, remember. So what did I talk about last time? Oh, Nikola. Yes. Oh, what's up? What's up, dude? Um, Thank you for reminding. Yeah. So Nikola was the company I'm talking about. Um, right now. So yeah, Tesla. This is the 300 week moving average, which is I like to. There's a lot of stocks that tend to be like in good value territory when it goes under this line, and like as I showed last stream, this was the case last time we went under this line. It was a pretty good buying opportunity here, and I think the same thing is happening right now. Also, for those that weren't in my previous stream, if we look at even the time before that, this was a much longer period. Things were like down for, I think this was like a little over half a year. But if you bought it literally anywhere under this line, you would have been golden for what was to come. So again, that's what I think is happening. Like I said, I have a position in Tesla. I bought at let me see, it was like 170, I think was my first buy, and then I bought some more. No, I think I bought it like 175, and then I bought some like lower. I think I had like 171 or something like that. I am waiting for it to go back to like 164, and I'm gonna just snack more. And I'm personally not gonna wait for it to come down again. Simply because I think that, as I've been saying, like I think the macro is gonna slowly keep getting better. So I just don't think that. I think it's risky to wait for it to come back down again to like this area. I feel dumb for
You
like
think it
not.
won't touch that again?
It might, but like I personally don't want to like risk. Like I want to make my position bigger, so I personally don't want to risk waiting it to go down that low. Like
Yeah.
I'm definitely gonna have orders for that, but they're not gonna be like that big. There's gonna be like top up orders basically to increase my position a little bit. But yeah, just like once we get closer to this line again, I'm planning to just like double my position and just hold that for a year or two. And be happy, hopefully. That's all I have to say about Tesla. Just keeping an eye, just waiting for it to come back down here, pretty much. Um, let's talk about Starbucks.
New
Um,
lavender latte.
I have not tried it. Um,
It's pretty good.
you liked it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to go wrong.
Let me put you up here. Pulling up my notes. Okay. So Starbucks ticker SBUX. I guess like the first thing I would bring up is that they had some pretty ass earnings like 2 weeks ago. That's kind of the reason why we see this. This is horrible. Like this looks this looks disgusting. I just like fell off a cliff basically, and it's kind
I
of
guess the lavender isn't so good.
yeah. I guess people hated the lavender. Um, no, but in all seriousness, like for those that don't know what happened, let me just like summarize real quick. They saw their like sales decrease in was it sales or was it let's look at my yeah the globe basically the global revenue went down, like especially like China, it dropped like by 11%. So um
Mm.
basically means that competitors are eating their market share in China pretty hard, and the US and I forget where else. They did see a decrease in that as well, but it wasn't that pronounced. um they also had like a pretty bullish outlook for their like earnings performance for 2024, and they just kind of did like a 180 on that. And if you look at the interview, for example, of I forget which executive it is. It's like the global VP of global something. Her interview, like she looked pretty nervous, and like you could tell that like they were just trying to give excuses for being
Yikes.
being too bullish on their performance. I think the CEO also did an interview recently, and that was kind of a like I didn't personally see it, but I read that it wasn't like the best interview. Um,
Now, question for you. Why are we specifically looking at Starbucks?
yes, because I think it might be an undervalued territory, and like I just want to like explore the good and bad things of like Starbucks right now. Um,
Mm.
I think that one of the, in general, I just think that one of the reasons why Starbucks has been, not just now, like before, it's been seeing like a general decline in revenues is because people. I mean, Starbucks is an expensive brand, and um, people in general, like stuff like Starbucks, is one of the first things that people drop when they feel that the economy isn't well, or that they feel that their pockets are getting a little tighter.
Yeah.
Um, and even though you know how I don't know if have you heard the term vibe session or
No,
vibeflation, is it, I think? Oh no, the
no, no. What is that?
vibe session. Yeah, so like even like even though I saw this from like a news article, so even though we're not in a recession and like economic data isn't pointing to a recession right now, um the vibes have been that we're in a recession for like a while. Like
Mhm.
people haven't been feeling confident about the economy, or like their like their in their own situations and whatnot. What um but yeah, so like basically like it's right now like a lot of economists are saying that people feel that things are worse than they currently are. And in some aspects, like, like stuff like CPI and other metrics, like don't really measure like some of the pain points that a lot of Americans and other people are like experiencing. Like I think the job market is really bad, and like the numbers just don't really show how bad it is, just because it's like different sectors are getting affected differently. Like for example, I'm personally I have more experience in the tech sector, and
Mhm.
job market is ass, and like like stuff for like engineering jobs are pretty bad, and like I have other friends in like similar fields that I've like I haven't had a friend that's told me, oh, I had a good time like looking for jobs recently. I know that's never really the case. No one has a good time looking for jobs, but like I've heard
Is
it's
it
like way worse like now.
is it because it's like the jobs themselves are bad, or is it there's like not enough, or they're too difficult to get into? What's the reasoning for why they're bad?
Well, I think that a lot of the sought after companies, especially like tech jobs or like just bigger corporations in general,
Yeah.
have real like we're in an environment where we have high interest rates, and that means that that puts a cap on how much investors gonna put in, because the or how much debt like companies can take out and whatnot. So like not just like in terms of like how like loans that companies can get, but just like like interest rates affect everyone, like, and the money moving through the system gets affected um
Mhm.
as like a widespread effect. So that means that companies are just like are in a tighter environment than they expect it to be for longer than they expect it to be in. And a lot of companies have, especially a lot of companies with just like shitty or not super optimal like business business I'm blanking out on the word like they're operating like shitty business models, like business model, that's what I'm looking
Okay.
for.
Yeah.
Like a lot of companies with like shitty business models that pretend to be tech companies, for example, like stuff like companies like
Mhm.
WeWork, like they pretend to be a tech company even though they're just like a glorified real estate company. Or what are some other companies like I'm blanking out right now, but basically there's been a lot of extra investments that, or I guess overly eager investments that came to a lot of these like big companies, where
Uh-huh.
they were able to overhire people and like basically show that, hey, look at how many people we're hiring, look at how much money we're raising, look at how much we're growing every quarter, look, like it's all bullish, it's all up, and like basically
Mhm.
now that we're in an environment where we've had high interest rates for a long time, or at least longer than like what I would say like the market was expecting. Um, it's just like that's why we've seen so many layoffs, like especially in the tech sector. Like companies have just been laying off people left and right, um and it makes sense. It's not it's not cool, like but it makes sense. Companies are just like cutting down costs, and employees are one of those costs. And yeah, like that's like those are jobs that I don't think are either not coming back, or when they come back they're gonna look for people, like the pool of people that they're going to want is going to be smaller and smaller every time.
How many are going to be replaced by AI technologies?
I mean, that's also, you know, like there's also that problem, you know, like we have like every year, like there's going to be more and more people that just can't keep up with like the you know, the rapid changes of AI and whatnot.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's also going to be a big displacer of jobs. I mean, I'm hoping the government can help out with that, but I'm not really hopeful. um what was the other thing? But yeah, tying it back to Starbucks. So last, I think it was two streams ago, we talked about how Google has been showing that companies have been spending more money on ad revenues, especially YouTube stuff, not just like regular ads, which shows that companies are gearing up. You know, like they're feeling better towards they're feeling better in terms of like being able to spend money on shit like ads, because usually when things get tight, like companies, like one of the first things that companies start dropping are ads. Like they start putting a lot less money
Yeah.
on ads, especially ads like more expensive ads like videos like YouTube and stuff like that.
Hmm.
So we've seen already like over a year of like uh increases in the revenues for like ads for Google, which kind of um gives us like a forward looking indicator of like, oh, like things are probably going to get better given that companies are putting more money into ads now, so that's going to mean more, you know, more revenues for these companies like going forward, hopefully. So given that we looked at that, I think that also looking at companies like Starbucks, and for example, I remember you had also mentioned like to look at things like airline industries and whatnot. So I think we're going to look at that next time, the airline industries.
Airbnb too.
Yeah, stuff like Airbnb. So basically, there's a lot of like key companies that I think we can look at to kind of gauge what's going on in the market. So that's kind of why I took an interest in Starbucks. I personally am not a big Starbucks drinker. I don't really care for buying coffee outside of, you know, like I prefer to make coffee at home. Usually, I think
Mocha Master.
yeah, like I think I can make a better coffee. Usually if I have the time. I just, you know, like Starbucks is like a thing that I treat myself with, like if I'm like not near my house and like it's the only thing available, you know, and like there's not like
Hmm.
a local coffee shop or something that I like I'd rather go to that, obviously. Um, but yeah, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about Starbucks. Like I think it's interesting to see because they've definitely you know, it's obvious that like the Vibesession, you can definitely see it in like their performance. Like they've been coming down. Let me look here. So they've been going down since like November. It's funny. So since more or less since like when since Bitcoin started going up, Starbucks has been going down, which is interesting. Um, I mean, it makes sense. Like people, again, people don't feel like they have extra money to spend on shit like, let's be real, like overly priced coffee. Um,
Yeah,
that's what it is.
it is very overtly priced.
Yeah, it's a nice experience, but it is at the end of the day, you're just paying markup, like very high markup for coffee. Like
Yeah, yeah.
that's what they all are. Um, Starbucks is just like one of the nicer ones, I think. Um, but yeah, so this as I was saying earlier, like so basically they had a pretty bad earnings report. They kind of did like, you know, like upper management seems to be doing like a pretty big pivot. They're also saying that they're expecting to grow 15% um in 2025, which just kind of
Hmm.
seems not realistic. um yeah, like it just doesn't seem realistic, like if I'm being real. um so yeah, that's one of the things. Let me look up some of the other notes that I have here. So one of the reasons, so I guess like some reasons to be bullish, some reasons to be bearish on this. I think I mentioned the bearish points pretty much. Upper
Hmm.
management looks like they got slapped in the face in terms of like they didn't expect that their performance was going to be so bad now. Um, and I also think that, like, for example, they mentioned stuff like, oh, we're going to focus on like the value. We're not going to lower prices. We're going to just focus on value. We're going to improve like the experience in the app. And I'm like, that's all nice, but like, I mean, like, you know, like that, it just sounded like they were just trying to sell the stock rather than like, you know, actually give a like a you know, a good explanation of like, hey, this is why we fucked up. You know, this is how we're gonna make sure that the stock does better.
Yeah.
They weren't convincing, at least. So I think that's, it's merited that it dumped. I think it was like 15% or something. Bullish points for it though. If you look at stuff like the price to operating income ratio and the price to operating cash flow, these are both very low, like historic lows, which can be a pretty good, like at least like to me that tells me that the stock might be in value territory and it might be a good buy. Full disclosure, I put like a smallish order for a few shares at like 70, like at 75, just because I think it's probably gonna come down a little bit more. If it comes down again to like low 70s, maybe even like breaking the 70s, I definitely probably gonna load up on it. But yeah, right now I'm just kind of keeping an eye personally. But yeah, like gonna dabble a little bit at 75 if it goes back down there, and yeah, just looking to get some more. If it dumps more, just because again, I think macro things are gonna improve, and if macro things improve, then that means people are gonna feel more comfortable spending money on shit like coffee from Starbucks. So yeah. Oh, we got somebody
Seems
saying,
good.
yeah, I got my friend saying Starbucks is growing a lot in China too. Yes,
Mm.
it's funny you say that because they had a minus 11% uh, decrease in their revenues in China, but um, I think that's partly due to competitors like Tim Hortons cutting into their market share in China and like other places where Starbucks is also in.
Tim Hortons.
Do you know about Tim Hortons?
Yeah, but no
I, I,
fucking way anyone's going to Tim Hortons over Starbucks.
So yeah, like I had some notes about that because I personally it's actually true story. The first and only time I've been to Tim Hortons was in China. Actually, yeah, like I was where was I? I was in Xi'an, and I remember I had met up with like my one of my wife's friends, and it just happened to be around like one of the places we were looking at. We were seeing like it was like near fuck, what was it? It's like a castle like structure,
Hmm.
and the Tim Hortons was like just like next to it. So I was like, oh, I've heard of them before, and I kind of wanted coffee, so I went in, and it was pretty mediocre coffee. Like, not gonna lie, like kind of funny. I think that Luckin Coffee was actually like a little better. Do you know what Luckin Coffee?
No.
Oh my God. Uh, Luckin Coffee is this company, this coffee company in China that was caught faking numbers in like their
Ooh.
financial reports. I forget the details. It was a while ago, but yeah, like so someone saying in the comments, it is affordable coffee. It's very cheap. I've had it a couple of times when I was in China, and it's tasty, but it's garbage. Yeah, like
Okay. Is it
it's
like a morning commute to work kind of a coffee?
yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
It's also the first coffee that I like legitimately felt like like I might have gotten food poisoning more than once. I don't know if it was
From
that. I don't
coffee?
know if it was the coffee or if it was something else, but like I just remember just stopped having Luckin Coffee the last time I was in China simply because like the last two times I had it, I just felt like shit like
Mm.
afterwards. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm not having this shit anymore, even though it tastes pretty good. Some of them taste pretty good. Like at least it's very cheap coffee, but it doesn't taste that bad. Like it's kind of like Dunkin', I would say. Like it's I would say it's
Okay.
comparable to Dunkin', where it's like, do you
It
know,
sounded like Wawa to me, honestly. Wawa coffee.
it's probably an in between in like Wawa and Dunkin'.
Wawa and Dunkin'.
Yeah,
Okay.
because I would say Dunkin's probably a little better in terms of quality, but like Dunkin's also
Yeah.
trash. So yeah. Um, but yeah, so that's my experience with Tim Hortons. And anything like I've never heard anyone say like that Tim Hortons is good. Like I've even like actually I think from the Plain Bagel, I think I was watching a video from him recently, and I think it was him or somebody else, some other Canadian YouTuber, and like the only thing like Tim Hortons was mentioned, and he just said, "Oh yeah, their coffee's not that great, but you know, like they're a good company, something like that." And I was like, "Damn, even Canadians can't like recommend Tim Hortons." Which is I
Wow.
just thought it was funny. But yeah, like Tim
Yeah.
Hortons is a brand that is definitely cutting into their market share. Like, I mean, remember, like Starbucks is expensive here in the US,
Hmm.
and the prices are not that different in other countries. Yes, obviously, like you know, if you're in like a country with a much cheaper currency, like definitely like prices aren't going to be like the same, but prices are very comparable, and so it's still a very
Hmm.
expensive coffee um, to get. Like actually, I remember um, also another true story. I went to India last year, and I swear, like I gave my friend so much shit for this, but like he really wanted to have Starbucks coffee. Like when we were in like Mumbai, we were like walking around the streets of Mumbai, and he really wanted Starbucks, and I was like, why? Like like we're back home. Like he's Indian, so we were like we're back home in your country. Like why the fuck do you want to have Starbucks? Um, and he was just like, you know, he was like, I want black coffee from like Starbucks, and like black iced coffee. He was like, I want that.
Mm.
And like in India, usually when you get coffee, like if you get coffee from like the street, it's usually gonna have some kind of milk in it. It's like a little cup, usually has like some milk and has like a little like a specific taste. I personally like
Uh-huh.
it, but um I can see why it's not everyone, it wouldn't be everyone's cup of tea. And he was like not having that. He was like not craving that at all. He was like, I want my black iced coffee. And yeah, he dragged my ass to a Starbucks, and we got some. I think it was like the most expensive food item that I
Oh
got
my
like the
God.
entire trip. Yeah, like it was kind of funny.
That's
But yeah,
outrageous.
but yeah, like I think that the this like dump in Starbucks might be a little overblown, just because like if we look at, so going back to the bullish bullish like things for Starbucks. Let me move this around here. Um, pulling up my notes again. Yeah, so like they still have a lot of like they still make a ton of money. Like they're not like just the fact that their revenues are down in certain areas, like mainly in China. I think that makes a lot of sense, honestly. Again, like we know that
Hmm.
brands like Tim Hortons, Luckin Coffee, and other brands are like competing with them in China. So like I would expect like countries where they have other brands like big brands like that that are competing, you know, to eat into their market share. Especially given that again, like we've had times where people just haven't felt as as secure with like their finances and with the economy in general. So it's
Yeah.
just, I think these are things that make sense. Obviously, it's a, you know, I think it's a good opportunity. Oops, sorry, my cat wants to go outside.
Is it Pablo?
Yes, that is Pablo. It's taking a month. Um, where was I going with this?
I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, I was going through the positive stuff. So
Mm.
um, what was the other thing? So yeah, I said that the price to operating income ratio is low. It's like it's at 15, I think, last time I checked, which is a 17-year low. Um, the price to operating cash flow is about 12.8, which is the lowest since like 2010. Which basically these are things that you don't see a lot with stocks. Like you don't see like these numbers being so low, and it just means that
Hmm.
the stock is potentially undervalued. Um, so yeah, like that's one of the reasons why I'm dabbling a little bit into the stock. And then you know if it comes back down to this area, I think it might be able to break down a little bit more. I guess I don't think it's done bleeding. Um, but we'll see. Like I'm not jumping into it head first like I am with other things.
Yeah.
But I it's
Like
definitely
Pepe.
like Pepe. No, actually, I only bought Pepe like I only made like two buys of Pepe, and then I've been writing that. Been pretty happy with that. It's up like 30%.
That's good. That's
Um,
good.
but yeah, it's one of the reasons why I'm looking into Starbucks. Let me see what else. Talking a little bit about their competitors. We talked about Tim Hortons. I actually don't know too much about Dunkin'. about the company itself. I guess
Yeah.
that's probably one that I can do more research for the next stream. But pretty much, at least like I live in Massachusetts. Oh, and you're in Maryland, and like is Duncan's pretty widespread in Maryland, right?
Pennsylvania.
Oh, I guess you're in Pennsylvania now, but
But yeah, there's Dunkin' all over the place around here.
yeah, I don't know. I would say like oh, I forgot the other thing I was gonna bring up, like another anecdote. Remember the trip we took to Seattle recently?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So remember we went to the Starbucks Reserve?
Yes.
That was really nice, right?
It was. It was so nice.
It was really nice. It was so nice that you almost forget about the fact that you're spending $20 for a fucking coffee and a pastry. Like, like,
Hey, it was an espresso martini, chocolate espresso martini, made in a fancy, luxurious Starbucks restaurant.
but that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think like given the fact that again, this is a company that still has been showing strong dividends. It still makes it's a $1 billion company. You know, like it still makes billions of
Yeah.
dollars. Like it's that's not changed. That hasn't changed. Um, and it's still perceived to be like this more premium option all around the globe. Like I can't think of another coffee brand that's as established as Starbucks that has the same uh, clout. If you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you know what I mean. Like and for
That's
example,
the
like,
right word.
and I feel like if they just lean into trying to expand like the experience that you get in stuff like in places like the Starbucks Reserve to like their regular
Hmm.
stores, I think they'll do great. Even like regardless, I think that they're gonna do fine. So like that's why
Yeah.
like it's nice to nibble companies that are just like cheap in various metrics. So yeah, that's
That's a good
why
point.
it's kind of why I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. Um, what else? Let's finish looking at like some of the market vitals. I guess more for crypto. Let's look at the stablecoin
Okay.
dominance real quick. Um, so yeah, stablecoin dominance. It is doing what I've been saying. It looks like it's gonna be doing. It seems to be chilling out and coming back down. Obviously, we probably need to wait another week or two just to see what it does. I feel like if we keep hovering around the 6.6% like level for these. Oh, by the way, for those that don't know what I'm talking about, this is the dominance of USDT, USDC, and DAI, which are the top stable coins in the crypto space. And yeah, like right now, I think we are just going to continue with this downtrend in the dominance, and that means that we're going to be favoring risk. Um, I wish I had a chart of like the inflows of the ETFs, but like today we had very good inflows for the US ETFs. Also, Coinbase had, I think it was the third biggest like Bitcoin drain in its history, which is pretty big. It means that people are just getting their Bitcoins out of the exchange and waiting for higher price action, which I think is bullish. Um, I don't know what's the last thing I wanted to look at real quick is something interesting, which I think could have. I thought it might have been like an indicator, like that things were gonna get a little better, but I didn't want to like,
Hmm.
you know, it's
Get your hopes up.
the shit coins. Um, we got to talk about the shit coins real quick because
Great.
you see this one. This is one that I've been looking into getting into. I haven't bought any, and I guess it's the train's.
What is this one?
This is Andy. It's I think it's a friend of Pepe. I honestly I don't fucking know. It's I've heard about it from like some of the creators that content creators that I follow, and
Uh-huh.
it looked interesting. Like I looked into getting some, but I'm not paying too much attention to it. Like the only shitcoin that I've bought so far that I hold currently is Pepe, and it was just like again like I've said, it's a teeny tiny portion of my portfolio.
Hmm.
Um, just wanted to look at shitcoins real quick. Doge, and I'm curious. Doge is like not doing very well, and I think it's just because like other like some of the newer stable coins, some of the newer shit coins are just being favored. Pepe, for example. Pepe put in an all-time high. When was this? We're looking at the 4-hour chart, by the way. I'm looking at the 4-hour chart specifically because a lot of these coins are like newer, so they don't have like that much data. But yeah, we put in an all-time high with Pepe on May 16, May 15. Oh, today actually, literally, yeah, like, yeah, didn't realize that was today. But yeah,
what do you
like,
know?
Like, I don't know. I wasn't expecting a shitcoin like all-time high from like one of these coins. Let's see what WIF is doing, which is another one. WIF did not put in an all-time high. Actually, it's not really doing that much. Let's see what SHIB is doing. SHIB is recovering a little bit. Money flow looks like it's gonna flip green. For Pepe, it's already flipped a little bit green, although this might be correcting a little bit, so we gotta see. Let's look at Bonk. Bonk is holding up, I guess. It recovered pretty strongly from the dump that we had. When was this? Like mid-April. Am I missing a shitcoin? I think those are all the shitcoins that I wanted to show. Yeah, I don't want to focus too much on this. I just wanted to point out that like, it's interesting that like stuff like Pepe and like Andy and like other shitcoins are just doing really well, because if you notice, when things started heating up by like late last year, the stuff that pumped first was the shitcoins and then the AI coins and stuff like that. So that was kind of leading the market, which was just very interesting. So are shitcoins leading the market again? Maybe. We'll see.
We shall see.
We shall see. Aside from that, is there anything else that you want to talk about, Owen? I think those are all the things that I had in my list.
I think we covered what I had written down.
Yeah, if there's anything else somebody wants to cover, let me make sure I'm looking at the comments here. Make sure. Okay. Don't think I see anything else, but what about this meme stock, FFIE? Somebody's recommending. Let's look at what this stock is real quick before we go. FFIE. I don't think I know this. Faraday Future Intelligence. I've heard this. Sounds familiar. Oh, indeed. Oh. What is this? Do you know about this?
No.
I don't. Yeah, I don't know what this is actually. But whatever it is, it's going up. Let me zoom out. Let's see. Zoom out on the, what is this, daily chart. Let's zoom out even harder. Let's zoom out on the weekly. Let's see what it is. Okay, so this stock started in like 2020. Damn. Look at that.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's pretty wild. I don't, yeah, if commenter, if you can tell us what the stock is about, that'd be nice. But definitely I'll keep an eye into this. Oh, the person texted me. Yeah, it's they're saying it's a dead company. Search it, looking for it on Reddit. All right. Well, I guess I don't think we have too much time. How long have we been? Oh, we've been streaming for an hour. Awesome. I think we're probably gonna cut it short here, but definitely we're gonna look into this company. We'll make sure to bring that up in the next stream. I will probably be streaming tomorrow again. I might be having my friend Kush. We're probably gonna have a follow-up discussion about India and also just look at some more things in the market. But
awesome.
But yeah, thank you all for showing up, for giving us a little bit of your time to learn about the markets with us, and hopefully this journey is going well for everyone. And yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've been Carlos.
Owen signing off.
All right. Thank you for joining. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.